Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this event summit series. Before we get started, I'm Sabarishan, your anchor for the day. I request Ajit Pai, President Tai Mysuru, to give his welcome address and introduce Tai Mysuru to those who may not be familiar. Go ahead, Jai. Ajit.
Good evening. Thank you, Sabrishan. It's my privilege to welcome you all for the fifth program of our year, Founder Stories. Stories about entrepreneurship from our own backyard, a city that we live and love. We have a fairly long program today, so I'll keep my comments short. Before I begin, I hope all of you are keeping safe. This second wave has been more personal. Each and every one of us has had someone in a close circle affected by it. And the best thing we can do today is to ensure that we don't fall sick, and if we do that, we don't pass it to others. Years of neglect in our public health system has brought us to this, but that's probably a much longer discussion topic for another day. There are a few in the audience today, I think, who are new to Tai Mysuru, so I'll give a brief blurb. Tai Mysuru is about 2 years old, a little over 2 years old, and is one of the youngest chapters of Tai in Mysore. Tai, as you all know, the Indus Entrepreneurs is amongst the largest entrepreneurs organization in the world. Founded in 1992 in Silicon Valley, today it boasts of over 65 chapters in 15 countries with over about 20,000 members. While it is organized mainly of entrepreneurs from the Indus region, these days I find that there are a lot more people connected to India who are not from India are its members as well. It's an organization that's exclusively focused on entrepreneurship. And as all of you know, there are 5 pillars: educating, mentoring, networking, funding, and incubation. Which brings me to the reason for today, to hear stories of Kumar Piyush and Matthew Chacko, their journey, their successes, their difficulties, and more importantly, to understand how we as Tai Mysuru can help them. Welcome, Kumar and Piyush. We hope you find a more sympathetic audience here than elsewhere. And
Thank you, sir.
welcome to everyone else to your lockdown entertainment this weekend. Over to you, Sabrishan. You're on mute, Sabrishan.
Yeah, thank you. Before we go ahead, I thought I'll share a few words about the whole this program series. We were brainstorming, me, Ajit, Mahesh, and a few others, as to how to make Tai Mysuru more vibrant, more connected, more cohesive among prospective founders, prospective investors, and prospective mentors. So we thought of bringing out a series of programs going forward. One series will be founder story series, where startup founders will share their journey, their success stories, their challenges, how they overcome, what are the key success factors, and so on. Another series would be on mentorship and leadership series, where we get to invite people of bigger standing from outside Mysore, stalwarts, and hear them and get some inspiration out of their life. Then also bring in some investor series, successful investors in and around Mysore as well as outside, who just to share their expectations from the founder, so that whoever brings out a startup, he or she should know what other stakeholders' expectation out of this is, so that it becomes a very cohesive group, and the startup story succeeds in Mysore as much as it is now in Bangalore. So this is the whole purpose of this whole series. I hope you enjoy today's story. Now, before we go ahead, I would request either Mahesh Rao or Nagarajan to talk about Tai University program global competition. Over to you, Nagarajan. Mahesh Rao is not seen here. Nagaraj is there. Nagaraj?
Yeah, CKS, yeah. Is Mahesh on the call, or should I?
He's not seen here. So I guess probably you can cover for him.
Okay.
Mahesh sir has not yet joined.
Okay, all right. So do you want to, I've been kind of offline for the past 1 week. So Mahesh will have the latest update. So should we wait for him and then update?
Anyway, like how about Ajit?
Yeah, we can do that actually.
Okay.
Maybe Mahesh can come on a little later. In the meanwhile,
Anyway, Sanjay can speak.
yeah, Sanjay, no, yeah, we can probably go into the stories and then before
Okay,
Sanjay comes on board, maybe Mahesh can kind of sum it up and then
sure.
ED
Okay, great.
Mahesh, please talk to Mahesh Rao and see where he is.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
if it
we go
doesn't
to
come on,
the,
yeah, if it doesn't come on, I'll speak about it a bit later.
okay.
Okay. Thanks, Nathan.
So we go to the first speaker now. I request Ali Wak to introduce Kumar Piyush. Ali, over to you.
Thank you, Sabrishan. A very good evening to all. Friends, it is a pleasure for me to introduce today's guest speaker, Mr. Kumar Piyush. Mr. Piyush is the CEO of Infopine. Infopine is a software product company based out of Mysore. The flagship product of Infopine is iTex Cloud's ERP focused on the textile manufacturing industry. Piyush has been pivotal in building Infopine as a trusted and reliable technology partner. As a CEO, he is responsible for leading the development of the company's short and long-term strategy, maintaining awareness of the competitive landscape, expansion opportunities, markets, industry developments, assessing risk to the company, and ensuring they are monitored and minimized, and helping other executive leaders like the CXOs, directors, VPs to achieve their goals. He is also responsible for entire sales, business development, strategic business decisions, and marketing at Infopine. He also visits MBA colleges like SDM Institute of Management Development, Mysore, for guest talks and trending business topics. Friends, it is a pleasure to have with us Mr. Kumar Piyush, and let's hear more from him. Thank you, and over to Sabrishan sir.
It's all, the stage is yours, Kumar Piyush. You have 20 minutes to finish your story. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ali, for the introduction, and thank you, Mr. Sabrishan. So, good evening, all of you. First of all, thanks to Tai for giving me this opportunity to, present, my story, Infopine story in front of all of you. So when Mr. Mahesh, reached out to me and he kind of invited me to become part of this founder series, I was very excited, because it's always exciting to go back and, talk about how you started and what struggles you had and what challenges you faced and how you reached to the point where you are today. So so without wasting much of your time, I will start, and I have a small presentation, just to keep myself intact to the topic. So I'll just share the screen. uh, I hope the screen is visible to all of you.
Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, who we are. So we are from Infopine Consultancy Services Private Limited. So we are a SaaS based company, and we have worked with a lot of mid-sized and large enterprises. Our main focus is customer satisfaction, where we want to decrease their cost and increase their profit margins. We have two wings: services as well as product. We have our homegrown product, iTex Cloud ERP, which is completely focused for textile manufacturers. I'll be discussing about iTex Cloud in coming slides. So who are the team behind it? So we are three core management team. So myself, I'm serving Infopine as a CEO, and I think Mr. Ali has given enough information about what I do at Infopine, and Mr. Manu is the chief operating officer. He is one of the co-founder, and he takes care of entire operations and HR at Infopine. He comes with a very strong product management background, and he also helps technical team in managing the entire product management. And Mr. Mahavir is the CTO. He heads the technology department, and he is responsible for bringing latest technology to the table, and he also is responsible for customer satisfaction and delivery at Infopine. So when you are in a business, you have to have focus. You cannot deviate from your focus. So we also have few focuses on which we are working right now. So when it comes to services, our focus is on product engineering largely, and then Salesforce as well. So what is this product engineering is, we help companies who have ideas and concepts, but they don't have capabilities to, take it to market or, make it happen. We work with them, help them to, bring their ideas to reality. And we help them also to bring that product to the market, help them to take that product to the market. We also help a lot of customers in US for their Salesforce implementation, customization, and Salesforce, enhancement support. Uh, our main focus is on product, which is ITEX Cloud CRP. This CRP we launched 1.5 years back, and in a span of just 1.5 years, we got very good response, and we have bagged a lot of customers, because we found that there is a lot of pain in this area, and in this it's very unstructured, and most of us most of the technology company has not focused in this area. So we kind of entered into into this market, and we are trying to take this product to pan India. So coming to our product engineering background, we have worked with a lot of customers. So few of our major customers are Government of Karnataka, then Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, Unilog, Radisson Blue, Avax Pro, Fusion. So I'll just showcase couple of projects that we have worked on. So first project is Chief Minister app. I mean, when Mr. Siddaramaiah was the Chief Minister of Karnataka, we had approached the Principal Secretary, and presented our concept that we should have an app for Chief Minister, where Chief Minister can directly connect with the citizens, and citizens can post their grievances and all those things. So he diverted us to the chief secretary, additional chief secretary to e-governance, where we presented, and we got a go ahead, fortunately, and we worked on this project, and we had launched this app, and within a span of 1 month time, we got 30 lakhs download for this app, and we had managed entire operations of this app very well. Then we also have worked very closely with Ujjivan Bank. When Ujjivan was just a microfinance company, we started working with them. Today they are bank, a small finance bank. So we also worked on an internal app for them, where it's like an internal WhatsApp and Facebook for them, where they interact with each other inside the company. They share their achievements, they share their stories, and they also post their notifications, management dashboard. All those things are possible using this app. Then Avax Pro is one of the largest ERP when it comes to distribution. They are focused on electrical distribution, so they had a product in place, and but the product was on a very old technology. So they kind of wanted to scale the technology. They wanted to shift to the new technology. So they approached us, and we helped them to upgrade their technology to a new technology. We shifted their technology to Java and Postgre and new technologies. Now they have better product, and because of this scalability, it's helping them to acquire more customers in the market. Now coming to our product, so we have our flagship product, where our main focus lies, is ITEX Cloud ERP. So why we went into this market, when the story is like, we approached KSIC, Karnataka Silk Industry Corporation managing director, and we told that we want to do something for you. So we want to build a e-commerce platform for you, so that even outside India, you have people can order saris. But MD was very frank, and she told me that we hardly have any online sales, and most of our sale happens through our showroom. So if you want to do something for us, you have to do something different. She kind of hinted me that they are having some production issues. So we invested a lot of time, a months together, visiting their factories, understood what problem they're facing, and we almost invested 5 to 6 months of time, and understood that still they are on the legacy system, where I'm sorry, they are using they are having entire operations on pen and paper, using pen and paper, and on Excel sheet. They still have that physical loom card and all those things. So we thought, why not digitize everything in KSIC? And we came up with a plan to develop a ERP for them from scratch. And we came up with a presentation and plan and presented to MD, and she was very happy to see that. And that is how we got the opportunity to develop an ERP from scratch for KSIC. So once we developed this ERP for KSIC, we thought, why not make it a product and reach out to other textile manufacturers as well. So we started approaching other textile manufacturers and found that the process is very different. It's only silk. There are manufacturers who manufacture cotton, also who manufacture dyed fabric, gray fabric, towels. So we started understanding that there is a lot of pain in this area, and there is no one who is looking after them. So we found a lot of challenges. They don't have proper tracking system, they don't have production planning, they don't have proper data to take right decisions, they don't have any costing methodologies in place. So because of this problem statement, we kind of thought that we have to work on in this industry. And then we started improvising our product. And today we have all the modules in place with where it is production planning, inventory management, purchase, exports, payroll, whatever you can think of in a textile industry, a textile fabric manufacturing industry. We have all the modules in place. uh, but having said that, there are a lot of other competitors also that we have, but not much, but we have around 2 to 3 competitors. So we found that before they had ITEX Cloud ERP, their situation was almost like this, where everything was clumsy and they didn't had control over anything. And they were having difficulties in managing the entire operations. But when we implemented KSIC, when we implemented ITEX Cloud at KSIC and different manufacturing companies, we saw that the entire operations has become easy for them. They have entire control over everything. They have complete control over production floor. They have complete control over exports. They know each and every details of what is going on. The owners, usually they keep traveling, because they are also into exports, so they keep traveling outside India and meet a lot of customers. So even if they are outside India, they are able to track everything because it's on cloud. So this has empowered them to a very great extent. Like I told, we have other competitors also, but what is our USP, which they don't have. So we have designed a visual loom planning, which is based on different formulas, where you can plan your production automatically using the screen. So this is a high level of the screen, where you see colorful blocks. So these all represents the looms. Looms are the machine that a textile manufacturers uses for manufacturing. So these all colorful looms tells you that what is the efficiency of the loom, uh, you know uh, till what time the loom is occupied, when the loom will be available. And within click you can automatically uh, define your production, and you can plan your production. And you can meet delivery timelines. And you can also track your wastage, inventory. You can also track your loom efficiency. All the things are possible using this screen. Now, we this is a high level of strengths and opportunities why we got into this area, because it's organized. I have already discussed that it's an unorganized sector, and we have a lot of opportunity to organize it. Government is taking a lot of initiative. If you see recent budget also, they have taken a lot of initiatives. Global market, it's not only limited to India. You can go to different countries like Bangladesh, Vietnam, China. A lot of places are there where you have your market. And changing mentality of customer. People are now, mainly after pandemic, they're more towards going to digital, adopting new technologies, buying ERP, because they know that these things are very important if they have to have ease of business, or they want to have business continuity. And of course, less options are available. Strengths are, we have domain knowledge. We have we have people working who has worked in the same domain, textile domain, for almost near to 2 decades, 2 to 3 decades. We have hired people like that, and expert like that, who is working with us, and on daily basis we are improvising the product. So these are, it's in just 1 year of time span, we have backed these customers who are already working with working on our product. So we have backed 12 customers. We started from Mysore Silk, and then we moved out to, apart from Karnataka, we moved out to states like Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Gujarat. So now, talking about my journey, this is all about the product and services that we have. Talking about my journey, I after I did my bachelor's in computer application in 2012, I came to Mysore, and I did my PhDM in marketing and systems from 2012 to 2014. And then I was thinking like what to do and how to start, because I had a vision to start something, and I never opted for placements in the college. So I was blank, like where should I start? And then in 2015, April 2015, I founded Infopine, and I thought, let's start working on it. And it was very tough to get my first customer, and I got my first customer in 2015 itself, and who paid me 4,000 rupees. So it was like a great achievement at that time, getting the first customer, because you don't have any story, and no one wants to believe on you. And today, in 2019, we became a product company, and today, we have so many customers working with us. I mean, at product front and service front, we have served a lot of customers. So this is the journey that I had. So why in entrepreneurship? This is the question that we ask to all entrepreneurs, and all entrepreneurs will have their own answers, right? Because it's everyone gets motivation, and motivation from from different places. So for me, I was from childhood, I was very inspired by Bill Gates. I always admired him. He gave one of the greatest gifts to mankind. He made our life easier. We when you see, we are working on computers and all those things. He's the one who made all these things possible. So his passion towards solving problems, I used to see his interviews and all those things. I used to read that he's the richest man of in the world, and he was, yeah, and on the same side, he was so humble and a great philanthropist. So one of the reason, I was very motivated and inspired by him. Second thing was creating job opportunities. So I come from Bihar and UP, and I've seen unemployment. I see that how people crave for job, and they don't have opportunity. They don't have jobs in hand, and and then when I moved out of Bihar, I saw that the problem is not only in Bihar, maybe little more, but it's not only in Bihar. I realized that unemployment is all around. Everywhere people are. When I came to Mysore, I saw a lot of job melas happening in Maharaja ground and all, and people came there, and they are just struggling for getting a job. And So I thought, why not create jobs? And how to create job? If I start something, and if we grow something, obviously the more number of jobs, and more number of employment will be created, and more number of opportunities will be created, because you don't only give jobs by directly hiring people. You have vendors, you have other people also, so you give business to them, and they also give employment to someone else, right? And third thing, it will not be right if I say that I don't have any personal goal. So of course I had my personal goals also. I wanted to have satisfaction of achieving something, which I thought I can have by doing this. I wanted to have freedom. Freedom doesn't mean that I don't want to work. Freedom means I want to work the way I want, and I want to do something where I can make some changes. Creating wealth. And when I say creating wealth, it is not only individual wealth, it is also creating wealth for employees and society. So uh, it's always there is a saying that you can always give off everything, but to give off everything you have to have everything, right? So so I thought, why not do something where you create wealth, and then pass on to the society, and touch lives. So once you have achieved so many things, you can always, give it to society, and you can be a part of, this journey. Moving to why Mysuru. So, first and foremost thing, which everyone will agree, when you are in Mysuru, you fall in love with Mysore, right? So when I came to Mysore, I spent my 2 years with SDM. I started, I did my MBA. That time I didn't had any plan to, be at Mysore. I just came to study, and obviously I never had planned to have any job. I thought, I will do my MBA and make some networking, because for me, MBA was not just to get a degree. For me, MBA was like, there is 180 batchmates and 180 seniors and 180 juniors. So you have a hell lot of networking, and everyone will be working somewhere. So when you start a business, you have a lot of networking. And my first business, to be very frank, I got through my one of the junior who was working in Ujjivan. So I kind of thought, why not Mysuru? And then second reason was, Mysore is very close to Silicon Valley of India, Bangalore, right? It's very accessible, and operating cost is very less, and uh, it's developing day by day. A lot of opportunities is being created here. And I, of course, the most important thing, I found my co-founders here, Manu and Mahavir. I found them here. I met Manu in my college, SDM only. I was doing my regular program, and he was doing his executive program. So we met each other, and we thought, our ideas are matching, and our vision is matching. So why not start something together? And then Manu introduced Mahavir to me, and then this is how we started. So everything started, falling in place, and I thought, it's a good combination. So let's not go anywhere and start something here itself. This is why, I chose to start in Mysore. Now, initial stage challenges, every entrepreneur, when they start, they will have a lot of challenges, and most of the challenges, I think, are common, like, no story. So when you go and meet someone and tell that, I want to do something for you, they will tell, have you done it before, or do you have any story? So you don't have any story, they don't want to believe you. So it's very important. The first customer is the key. So how there was no stories. That was the first challenge. The second challenge was no brand. When you say that, I'm from Infopine, they ask you, what is Infopine, and where is this company, and you don't have any answer, because you have to show the map, and you have to show all those things, that, here our office is, and this is how, and that office is also not very promising, because it's office in one room, right? When you start. So that was one of the challenge. And then talent acquisition. No one wants to work with you, because when they when you approach them from different portals, Naukri.com and other things, they come for interview, but as soon as they reach you, they see your 1 BHK office, and they don't want to work with you. Even if they agree to work with you, attrition is very high. They will come after 3 months and tell, I have got an opportunity with Infosys and TCS and all those companies, so I want to go. You can't stop them, because everyone has their own desire, and everyone has their own goal in life, right? So then cash flow, I think, every entrepreneur will agree with me. Cash flow, every month when we started, was a challenge, like how to maintain this month, how to manage this month's cash flow. Even if you're not taking anything at home, at least your employee should be paid, and how to maintain that. So that was one of the biggest challenge. So, and last but not least is, family pressure. So how much you're earning, when you're getting married, why you're wasting your time. So all these answers, all these questions are, so you can manage everything, but family pressure is something which is very difficult to answer. So this is what, this is how, we started. This is how the challenges we faced, and this is how we came out of the challenges. So what is the current status? So currently we have 60 plus employees working with us. We have office in Dettagalli, near Reliance Fresh, and we have 60 employees there. We recently, 2 years back, we shifted to a new building. It's a 3 floors building. So we have taken the entire building. We have served 60 plus customers till now, including service and product. Uh, we have turned ourselves into full-fledged ERP product company. So we started as a service company where we did a lot of things, and then we wanted to become a product company, which we are today. And in just a span of 1 year time, everyone will agree with me that when you are a startup and when you launch a product, it's very difficult to get a customer. And getting 12 customers in a year was a great achievement for us, because like I told, that there is a huge demand, and people are welcoming us because we are understanding their problem and we are trying to fill the gap. We have customers in product, in services. We have product from so many states, but when it comes to product, we have customers from 3 states: Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Tamil Nadu. And we are now expanding to other states like Gujarat, Rajasthan, and MP, Madhya Pradesh. So this is our current status. This is how we are structured today. If you talk about revenue growth, from in past 5 years, our revenue on an average has grown by 25% every year, without fail. It's this year it was 25%, and we were expecting more, because of pandemic. We were not able to travel and go for sales to because when it comes to ERP, they want to meet you, because it's a huge investment for them, right? So we were expecting more jump this year, but yeah, at least we were able to maintain the jump of 25% this year. Then we are also mentored by Mr. Achyuta. Mr. Achyuta is a good, well known name in Mysuru. He's a founder of Unilog, and Unilog is one of the prominent B2B e-commerce giant in USA. So we work. Unilog is our customer also, and I had met him in one of the one of the workshop where he was a speaker in Young India forum. And I met him and I requested him to mentor us. And he was very kind enough to accept my request, and he started mentoring us. And he has contributed a lot in the growth that we have today. His advices and everything has helped us a lot. He advises us on daily basis, and we consult them on daily basis, wherever we are struck. So now the expectations from TIE, so I think this is not my expectation, or this is not only Infopine's expectations from TIE. This is expectation, I think, maybe from all startups and all upcoming startups in Mysore. So TIE is a very huge organization, across the world, and TIE can be a big role model, big support model, for a lot of startups in Mysore. So first thing is networking. For any startup, when we start, networking is very important, and TIE can help or any startup for having a good networking, right? Because networking is something which brings business, and starting a company is not a big thing. You can just register a company, you can have a good website and all those things. But the thing is, where is the customer? So where is the network? So TIE can help the startup to get a networking. They can create a platform where a lot of networking activities can happen. Second thing is mentor connect. So I think TIE is already talking about mentor connect. So most of the startup fails because they don't have proper guidance. They don't know how to manage. They don't know how to manage their cash flow. They don't know how to grab customer. They don't know how to create their annual operating plan. These basic things they don't know. So TIE should help them to connect with mentor, so that they know how to scale up. Then customer connect. Again, there are a lot of members. There are a lot of members in TIE from different domains and different industries, right? So if a startup can be connected to all those relevant members, and help them to grab customers, right? So that customer connect also can be one of the thing that TIE can help all the startups. Then investor connect. Of course, at some point of time, every startup needs some kind of funding and investment. So if they can connect these startups to relevant investors, because every investor has their own choice of investment. Someone wants to invest in healthcare, someone wants to invest in manufacturing. So if these startups can be connected to relevant investors, that would be great. Then brand visibility, the most important problem. We as a startup, we don't have brand visibility. We are new. Startups are new in the market, and people don't want to trust them. TiE can evaluate these startups, their capabilities, and give them some kind of batch where people will have trust on these startups, and they will understand the brand, that this brand can, we can work with this brand. And there is a company called XYZ in Mysore, who is working on these areas. So this kind of brand visibility, if you create, this will become very easy for a startup to grow their business. And last is, which is very important, I think, is product showcase. So again, TiE is a very big forum. So why, if TiE can have some platform where they can have a product showcase for these startups. So there are a lot of members of TiE, and there are a lot of people who visits TiE website. So people can go there, and if you are like, for us, like if you are a textile manufacturer, you can go and see what is the product showcase for textile industry. And if they will see that if there are 20 startups in Mysore, or one startup in Mysore working on textile industry, so what is their product, they can understand. So you can create that product showcase and that connect, where people will understand the product that various startups are offering. So it will become easier for a startup to create visibility for their product, for their brand. And in turn, they will grow their business to a different level. And once they have grown their business, you can always remove them from your portal, telling that you have grown enough. Now you can continue with your journey, and you can promote other startups. So this is what I suggest, and my expectation would be from TiE.
Thank you, Piyush. It was
Thank
an
you.
interesting presentation. Of course, we were
Thank
a
you.
little short of time. Yeah, good. Q&A we'll have after the next session.
Sure.
I request Charter Member Pramod to introduce Matthew Chacko, who will be our next speaker. Over to you, Pramod. If you can close the screen share.
Good evening, all. Welcome. I'm great privilege to introduce Matthew Chacko, CEO and co-founder of Upperclimb. Matthew Chacko is an
Pramod, you're not very audible. Can you speak up a little louder?
Okay. Right. Matthew Chacko, is it clear now?
Yeah.
Better. Matthew Chacko is an engineer currently busy, he says, revolutionizing the sports nutrition space in India. He is also co-founder and MD of Athletibit Healthcare Private Limited. He holds 6 Sigma Black Belt. He also holds 6 USPTO patents in machine telematics. That's something really exciting. Prior to this, he was a management consultant at one of the top consultings at EY India, and an R&D engineer at Caterpillar Incorporation USA. He did his MS Industrial Engineering from Wayne State University, Detroit, USA. Athletibit Healthcare Private Limited is incubated at CFTRA Mysore. Matthew will be looking forward to hear some really inspirational talk from you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, can you just give me the control?
Share option. Mahesh?
Matthew sir, you're a co-host now. You can share your screen.
Where do I click it? I mean,
Just share your screen.
I just share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see my screen now? Hello?
Not yet. Not yet.
No, Matthew.
Okay, so okay, so share screen. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Now it is using.
Thank you, Mr. Pramod, for the introduction. Thank you to TiE for this opportunity to come and speak about the story of Upperclimb. Also, thank you to Sanjay. I'm pretty much sure you must be having a hand in me coming and speaking over here, because I got a very 2 to 3 weeks back, I think I got a call from Mr. Sabrishan. So I'm pretty much sure you two guys are all connected. So it wasn't very hard to do the math. So thank you once again for this opportunity to come and share my story over here. Upperclimb is a very young company. We started in 2017 August. Okay, so we are just we've got so this is just me and my wife Rashmi. We are the co-founders of this company, and we got a third person also involved in this, but he has not fully joined the company because because of some financial issues. He was part of another setup that did not do very well, and there was a lot of money involved in that. So we're looking at whenever we get some funding and all involved, we'll be having the third person coming in as a co-founder. He would take over as director for R&D. So currently Rashmi and myself, we are the co-founders, we run the company. We are working in the sports nutrition area. Okay, so nutrition actually has a lot of areas, right? You have general nutrition, you've got infant nutrition, then you've got nutrition for different levels, like for example ladies who are carrying and all. So what we are focusing on is on the sports supplements category, and the in which, if you were to take the what is the the true domain of the food safety and standards authority of India would define it, we are in the food category 13.6. Okay, so there is different categories of it, and then we are in that particular category, and it's one of the most regulated categories in India. Okay, it's not something that you can just get by. You are looked at different levels. Your formulation is looked at, your packaging information is looked at, you're scrutinized at a very, very high level compared to other snacks companies or any other juice companies and all that is all there in India. It's one of the most highly regulated sectors in India. Okay, we got in our short space, we've been trying to understand how to build the business. So we've got direct customers, athletes. We've got like e-commerce companies in Nepal, Sastodeal, who's actually one of our clients. We've got and then we've got this we've got Velodrome, who's actually one of our bicycle shop guys who actually have a lot of customers in Kerala. So we sell products directly to them, and then they resell it to other people, other athletes like cycling and all the other people who are interested in sports. Okay, so moving on, my background, as Mr. Pramod said, I'm an engineer. I don't have any MBA degree and any of those sorts, and also I prefer to be an engineer, and that's how I will be. I did my degree in manufacturing engineering from Shivaji University in Kolhapur, Maharashtra. And then I did my master's in industrial engineering from Wayne State University, Detroit, Michigan. I thought I would end up working for General Motors or Ford Motor Company. That was the plan. But from after I graduated out, I ended up with a job with a construction equipment major called Caterpillar. So where I was doing R&D work. So in my master's, I was fully doing research on human-machine interfaces. And then at Caterpillar itself, again, I was in the R&D department where I was an R&D engineer. I'm Six Sigma green belt, and then I qualified for the Six Sigma black belt. And I have led a lot of new projects. So projects which did not exist to production. And I hold like 6 US patents in machine telematics. Of course, those patents are held by Caterpillar because that's who we work for. So that's like kind of like a pretty nice achievement because all those came under my project management leadership. And then in 2015 time, we moved back to EY. We moved to India because there were some issues with our green card and all, and we were kind of stuck. And so we thought like, okay, let's move to India, maybe, and just start. But I wanted to get into management consulting at that time, and I thought like, okay, since we got this position with EY, why not just try it out? It was in my home state, Kerala. That's where we are right now, and so it was nice to just move back and just start working over here. And then when we moved back, I used to play tennis in the US, so I love tennis. It's one of my favorite sports. And when we moved back over here, I used to play tennis over here, and it's kind of like uh, it was tough to find some proper supplements. It's if you live in Trivandrum, it's hot, humid throughout the year, January to December. So the idea came like, okay, why not just make something from natural ingredients. You just go to the supermarket, you just get the leading American product, which is just nothing but sugar. So the question then became, then it's like since I worked all my life in R&D, it became like, okay, how do we, so this is the problem, what can be the solution? And that's how I tried some stuff with my kitchen, gave it to my wife, gave it to my friends. There's got some good feedback and all. And okay, then I thought like, okay, let's, here's the problem. When you look around, this is the solution that we have. So why not attempt something different where we can actually use natural ingredients to come up with a product. So now, but I wanted this. So I wanted to have this thing all, sorted out. I mean, like, somebody should come up and tell me this is the same idea or not. So I approached CFTRI. So why did I approach CFTRI? Because they are one of the leading research institutions in India. And it was just a blind cold call. Okay. So I just picked up the phone. I just called the person up. I said, like, look, I'm calling from Kerala. I have this idea. And I want you to give me some feedback on this and how do I get this thing done? So CFTRI at that time was going through this new thing with startups and all. So they said, like, okay, you do one thing. You come down to Mysore. I said, like, okay, fine, this is great. So that's how I went to Mysore. So they told me, like, okay, your idea seems fine. You'll have to do a presentation to KBITS. KBITS is your Karnataka Biotechnology department. And so you had some people coming from KBITS, people from CFTRI. There were a bunch of people, like 10, 12 people were called, 10, 12 startups were there. And then we had to come explain the story, explain the idea, explain the problem, how you're going to solve it, and all those kind of stuff. And then CFTRI and some of these people felt like, yeah, there is this lacuna, and it's a worthy problem to solve. So at least I was pretty happy at that time that, okay, this isn't a stupid idea and I shouldn't be wasting my time on it, right? So at least I got that validation pretty early from a leading institution. So I thought, like, okay, this might be interesting problem to solve. So let's move ahead with it. Okay, so that's how we got started, and I went and registered the company. And then it was not funny, I would say. It sounds funny today, but at that time in 2017, when we registered the company, it's August 17, 2017 is our birthday. So we registered the company, and then after 2 weeks, I go to Mysore to sign the deal with CFTRI. So what happened was, like, the Prime Minister's office transferred the director of CFTRI to New Delhi. On the day I was supposed to sign this agreement with CFTRI. So I walk in over there, and it's kind of like, so this guy, one of the people over there, he was like, he saw me and he was pretty serious about it. I asked him, like, what happened? He said, like, director has been transferred. It's like, what? So the thing is, like, the moral of the story is, Murphy's Law will catch up with you on day one. Okay. So it's like, it's not like whenever your product is absolutely ready and you're going to do the test, that's when Murphy's Law will catch you up. The Murphy's Law holds true for you on day one of your stuff. That's the moral of the story. And that's what I learned on day one. It's like, this is not going to be an easy ride. That was the day one you fall into the pit. Okay. So now the question now was like, okay, so we signed the deal. They said, like, okay, we'll sign the agreement. And that's, and then what we did was, with CFTRI, what happens is, like, when you work with government institutions, if the top bosses, not the things move very slowly. So it took like 8 months for them to have the proper place, get all the permissions right from the DG CSIR, have all this thing resorted out. And they had a person appointed as the new person came in after 8 months. And then, so in that meantime, what I used to do was, like, I used to be there every month first week of every month, like I used to be there in front of the coordinator of NPIC, show my face, asking, sir, what happened? What happened? Well, I had no clue. This was the first time I was working. I had come from India. I had come from the US. I had no clue about working with a government organization. And on day one, this happens, right? So the question is like, how do you preserve that? How do you preserve all the eggs that you put into this basket? Because you can't have it all being crushed. So the thing is, like, I used to turn up over there. I used to, ask them like what's happened. They would give me the status. I used to go back to Trivandrum. And then finally, after 8 months, we got it all started. Okay. So that was the first interesting part of this journey was like, and that's what I learned is like, you have to expect the unexpected at all times, right? And so now the next part came was like, okay, so we started off this in June, right? June of 2018, we got started. Now the question became like, okay, now I come from a pure engineering background, right? Manufacturing, and also I understand all those parts of the business, but I had no clue about food science, right? So the question is like, I didn't know even what question should I ask the person, right? Because we wanted to hire a candidate. I just didn't know what to ask, right? You get a resume, you don't know what to look in the resume also. So what CFA did was like, at that time, they actually helped me with, so they sort out like 3 or 4 mentors for me. And so I told them like, okay, let's do one thing. You 3 conduct the interview for me and you tell me which is the best 3 people. Okay. So number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay. So, and so we had an interview and all. And so one of the interesting questions that my wife asked me was like, do you think anybody would apply to a company since you don't know anybody, right? Nobody knows you. Nobody knows the company. Do you think anybody would apply? I said like, we'll just take a chance. Let's see how it happens. And then probably, there might be people who would be interested in a job. So we'll just take it from there. And we had like 10 applications come in at that time. It was kind of surprising. And so we went through the interview process, and so the question now became like whom to select, right? So the CFTRI panel, they gave me like number 1, number 2, number 3. So now the question was, they told me like, you can choose. This is number 1, number 2, number 3, right? Now the question for me was, who do I pick? Because as Mr. Piyush has already said, it is the attrition, right? So you have to be very careful with that, your churn rate. So you can't have a person join you for 3 months or 6 months and they just leave and go, right? And then whatever you've done may be incomplete. And so when you hire the next person, then you are not making progress. You will just be spinning your wheels. So those were some of the very big questions that I had to make, that I had to take a decision on, right? So I just took my own sweet time, took 2 to 3 weeks. People were kind of surprised. I used to get a mail like, have you made the decision? Have you made the decision? No, I said, no, I haven't made the decision. I just sat on it because I wanted to make sure, like, among these 3 candidates, who would be that person that would be there with me for at least 1 to 2 years, right? Because we're doing product development now, right? So we can't have this churn coming in very early in this one. So now, so they gave me list 1, 2, 3, but my selection was number 2. Okay, so I went with the number 2 person, and based on my gut feel that this person would be with me, and it turned out to be true. That person is still with me, and it's been 3 years, right? So so CFTRI, actually, one of the scientists actually met me at that time, and he said like, told you to select number 1. Why did you select number 2? I told him this is the problem. This is what I'm looking for, right? So I just think that number 2 would be the better based on what we went through the interview, and that decision has proved correct. And that person has been with me for the last 3 years. So those are some of the challenges, right? So when you are a small company, whom you hire makes a huge difference, right? And you can't be having this constant churn. So whoever you select has to be synced with you, synced with your goals, synced with your strategy, and you need to have a sync with them. And as usual, I'm not going to touch upon finance. Finance is always the problem everywhere. Every entrepreneur will say that finance is the problem. One of the biggest problems that we faced is always, as Mr. Piyush said, brand awareness. You start from 0. In my opinion, you don't even start from 0, you start from -100, right? Because nobody even knows about you, right? So because there is no mommy, daddy's money is not coming in, right? So you are on your own, you're spending your own money. So the question is like, how do you do it, right? So So we literally, if you put it on next y-axis, I think we start really at -100, not even at 0. So that is one of the biggest challenges is brand awareness. Why should people buy from you, right? What is that thing, and how are you going to get your word out, right? And even if you get your word out, how do you convert that, right? So these are some challenges that every startup face that I am facing right now. Also, we are facing that. Okay, so we are every day we are trying to improve on that, and we are working towards that. Okay, so one of the major things that I would suggest, like where we are right now, is because of the institute CFTRI. I don't think we would be able to execute it without CFTRI, because it's a huge reduction in R&D costs. Like if you go to a third-party person to do this and all, it will just cost you like for our level of work, it would be around 75 to 80 lakhs, right? But at CFTRI, we've been just brought it down to like 50%, right? So our R&D costs are a lot cheaper. And whatever, we got a lot of help from them. So we are, whatever we are right now, we are because of the institute. So I'm quite grateful for that. I think that one of the major challenges that we faced was and one of the key success factors, like what I think is, which is holding us strong today, is a product strategy. When we started out, when I came to CFTRI, I just had one product in mind. I just wanted to do this product. We had some money with it, and I just wanted to get this thing out pretty quickly. But over a period of time, talking to different customers, what I realized was like you need to have a plethora of products. Like you need to have something. The questions typically: do you have a pre-workout? Do you have a post-workout? And what is the differentiation you're going to bring in, right? So at that time, we had to make that call, and so going for one product, you go into 3 products suddenly, right? And that has a huge implications on your cash flow. You have a huge implications on your finance. So you're not developing one product. Now you have to do 3 products. You have to do the sensory evaluation of all those products. You have to test those products. And then are they scientifically valid? All those things you have to answer. You have to do all the microbiological studies. You have to get it FSSAI approved. So it's a huge, huge challenge. So I think, but I'm pretty proud that whatever we did at that point in time actually has held us true, and we have a set of products. Our product strategy has been pretty much spot on, right? So, and then, as I said, that person who has been with me is Brita. She has a PhD in lipid science from CFTRI itself. So we hire from CFTRI from here. She studied at CFTRI, University of Mysore, and we are able to provide employment. We also have, we work with a lot of flex forces. So we bring in people on a monthly basis. We get the work done, we let them go. And then we have a flex manufacturing force. Whenever we do production, we bring them in and we do that, because that's the way it's better to operate at CFTRI. We cannot just have a limited space, and we can't have so many people working at CFTRI. So that's the strategy that we've employed from a people's perspective. Okay, so we got 3 products in the market right now. We've got a pre-workout Ascent, during workout Soar, Forge, which is a post-workout. These are all based on natural ingredients. What I mean by natural ingredients, your basic 2 ingredients comes from fruit powder and coconut water. Okay, so and we don't use any external chemicals for sodium, potassium, magnesium. It all comes from coconut water, right? So, and we've in the last 1 year, we've also developed 2 products. As I said, a product strategy. One is like a product that is going to be like a milkshake product that is going to come out. So it's basically a diabetic friendly product for the diabetic population as well as for athletes. So you're not taking in sugared milkshakes, but you can have a clean, nice product. You just take the powder, put it into your glass, add some water, wait for 15 minutes, and you can drink it. So it tastes like a milkshake. It's like a milkshake only. And then we've got another product category that we are developing is on the FSDU category, like food for special dietary users, which is a very exciting category. It's going to be an RPD drink that's going to come in. And 2021 actually started off as a very stupendous year for us. Actually, all our athletes were doing excellent, I would say. We've got we've had Ananta, who's track cycling. He's part of the Indian team. So he won a couple of medals at the track cycling championships in Hyderabad last month. We've got Dia and Pratiksha customers. So they are not our athletes. We don't sponsor them. They are our customers. So Dia and Pratiksha they didn't even get past districts last year. But this year they are all national level medalists. They won medals. And then we've got Dr. Varsha Puranik. She is the elite athlete. She has qualified for the World Championships in skating. It's going to be held in Colombia in September. right? And then we've got Vinay Prasad. Vinay Prasad is he's a motorcycle rally champion. So his story is kind of interesting. I was just wondering like how to get into motorcycling, and this guy just popped up from Instagram and he said like, hey, can you just sponsor me because I'm not happy with my previous sponsor, right? So that's how it worked out. We just tried it out and he likes the product, and he was one of the champions for the Rally of Chamba in Himachal Pradesh last month. I just wanted to just show you a little video of Varsha. So that's what Varsha, that was the 42-kilometer marathon, where the difference between first and second was like 20 meters. Okay. So Varsha uses Soar and Forge for her needs. So pretty happy that she was able to win a gold medal and do her country proud. Right. And then one thing which I would like to start is like, based on our customer needs, we're launching another program called Health Iron. Health Iron is basically a diet and nutritional program for athletes only. So it's not for your neighborhood uncle who wants to lose weight, right? It's for athletes. It's completely, you're working with a nutritionist from Mysore, and some of the agreements are in place, and probably we'll be launching this in next month. And so we are piloting this with Varsha right now because Varsha needs to be on the, she's qualified for the World Championship, as I mentioned, in Colombia. So we're looking at her weight. She has to bring her weight. She just messaged me saying that I need to get my weight down. I said, like, join this program, right? So, and so there are things which she needs to, we're trying to understand, we're trying to pilot this with Varsha and try to see how this program is going to come out, and then roll it out for other athletes in the next few months. And what I wish was better in Mysore. I always felt that, there is very less angel investor support for food manufacturing startups. We are not a IT startup. We are a food manufacturing startups. And there is a high amount of risks that's involved in it. Basically, CFTRI is doing what they can, right? So we work within that base, but I just think that if we have funding for food manufacturing startups, that would be great from an angel investor perspective. I also believe that, see, when we started up from zero, right, we are at a particular level right now, but now if you have to scale, we believe that, small micro food parks could come up within Mysore, not to be like a full-fledged micro food parks, but small micro food parks. And CFTRI has land, they've got like 100, 200 acres within the city. So a combination of Government of Karnataka, CFTRI, Mysore, CFTRI and DFRL, which is another very big research laboratory in Mysore, because Mysore is one of the biggest centers for food research, food development and all. So that needs to come out. And so I believe that if TiE can actually, work it out with Government of Karnataka, CFTRI, DFRL, bring all these parties together, startups like us, future startups who wants to come back to Mysore, and you can go from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, and so that comes out very well. So I hope that TiE could actually work on all these areas with CFTRI and DFRL. And that's all I had. So thank you very much. I'll take your questions.
Thank you, Matthew. Very inspiring story, as much as it was Piyush. Only thing is, in the absorbing story, we have overshot the time.
Okay.
Ajit, how do you want to take it forward? You want to have a Q&A now, or we can have it later through mail, or we have 2 more sessions, short sessions.
Yeah. Maybe if anybody has a quick 1 or 2 questions, we can do it and then move on.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Anybody has a question to either of them, please shoot your questions. Unmute yourself and talk to them.
I have a question for Kumar. Kumar, are you there?
Yeah. Hello.
What happened to CM app?
CM app is, when Mr. Siddaramaiah was Chief Minister, we had launched one app for Chief Minister of Karnataka, where we had proposed government, especially the Principal Secretary, Mr. Atik was the Principal Secretary that time. So
I know, but is it still continuing, or it's after Siddaramaiah it's gone?
No, it's during election what they did, because of code of conduct, they told us to remove this app, and it is still on the state data center, but they have not resumed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for Matthew.
Yeah. Who's this?
This is Mahesh Rao.
Oh, okay. Hi, Mahesh.
Hi. Did you try with the KPL and various sports events which happens in Mysore? I mean, of course, now it is not happening, but in the
No.
last few years.
No, actually, we haven't. As I said, like we've got a bit of a handicap related to the sales and marketing. We haven't gotten a person right now. So, and we are working it out. But not now with KPL. We haven't. So, hopefully, we get a chance to talk with the Mysore KPL team at some point in time, because I think they would be interested. So,
Mysore Warriors.
Mysore Warriors, yeah.
Yeah, the Mysore Warriors. So it would be nice to do that. We actually started off with cycling, Mysore in cycling. That's where we all tested all our products.
Okay.
So we have we have some cyclists from Mysore who actually use our products. But yeah, KPL is something that we would be. If you know anybody, just let me know. I'll just
I think we have a couple of CMs who are big sponsors of KPL.
Okay.
So,
So yeah, I would be interested in doing a product demo.
We have the owner of KPL on the TiE Mysore board, Mahesh.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Pawan Ranga.
yeah,
Okay.
Pawan and Kiran Ranga. Yes.
Oh, that would be great.
No, Mahesh,
Kiran as
actually,
well, correct. Yeah, Kiran is there and Pawan is there.
Kiran.
Mahesh,
Yeah, I
if I
would-
may, Kiran, I'm here. I'm on the call. KPL is one thing, but I actually, as a group, we are the franchise owners for KPL, but also incidentally, we have another company called Nesso, where we are actually doing natural extracts that go into sports nutrition. We are actually selling isolates to the US to different companies that actually deal in sports nutrition. My question there for you is, so there's a formulations end to it. Then there are also natural isolates where there's differentiation that you can create based on the process of manufacture as well. So
Right.
do you focus on the formulation side, or have you got into extraction as well?
No, we just focus on the formulation itself. Extraction is a heavy duty, money guzzling adventure.
And for formulations, so does CFTRI own the formulations?
No, we own the formulations.
You own
It's
the
not. Yeah, we don't have to do anything with CFTRI. They just provided us the shelter. We pay them rent, and that's about it.
Certainly.
And,
A very
yeah.
interesting space, and I see quite a lot of growth happening in the effervescent space as well, where
Yeah.
convenience,
Yeah.
a lot of brands which are growing with effervescent,
Yeah.
tablets,
Yeah.
form of just tableted products. It'll be interesting to have a chat with you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you.
So Matthew, there is your connect.
Yeah,
There
thank
you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Matthew, this is Bhaskar Kalale.
Hi, Bhaskar.
Very nice presentation from both Kumar, Piyush, and yourself. Very, very inspiring. So I'm much older to all of you guys, young entrepreneurs, but I launched my own company, which is a marketplace for people above 55 years.
Okay.
So specifically with product and services exclusively, curated and integrated solution. I would be interested to talk to you offline, and if you can just message me, I'll get your number from Mahesh. I'd like to talk to you and see what we can do together.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. I think right now our products, we have a couple of products, 3 products we have. Then we've got 2 coming up products, which is very interesting. One is, as I said, it's a milkshake category product, which is there is no sugar in it. Okay, so it's completely diabetic friendly and for athletes and all. And then we're working on an RTD for an FSD for diabetics. So that's like a very interesting product. I don't think there's any product that's anything in India like that. It's a very nice innovation. So we are working on that. So we'll be interested to chat with you on the prospects of those products along with what ideas that you have.
And
Sure.
Matthew,
Those was specifically that caught my ear. So
Yeah,
that
what?
I wanted to speak with you.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of opportunities, Kiran, here, last question. In terms of opportunities, have you taken an outside-in perspective in terms of what is the market size in India for different? Like you mentioned, there's pre-workout, workout, post-workout. There's even there's either muscle gain supplements. There are several categories in this market. Even though overseas it's evolved, India it's emerging now. So have you looked at what opportunities to go after and then created products, or is it more of an inside-out view of what your strength is and how have you done that?
Yeah, actually, we were actually coming into the sports drink category. So that was Soar. Soar is that was the first product that we wanted to focus on. So that in the sports drink category, you can have it as a RTD, ready to drink, as well as a powdered version. So we chose the powdered version because of some of the challenges that we would face at CFTRI, because of they didn't have the equipment to go into RTD format. So we thought like, okay, powder format would be better. So we were focusing on the RTD format, so the powder format, and that is like itself is $100 to $200 million category level business in the entire sports nutrition category. So if you look at the entire sports nutrition in India, it's somewhere around 700 million. That's what it's a nascent industry. It's coming up and it's growing at 10%. And that involves these bars is there, and then gels are also there, and all these, but the sports drink category, that's the category which Pepsi operates with Gatorade, right? And they control that market. So that is like around 200 million in India. And that is something like I think like something last year. I haven't pretty much sure that thing has gone ahead. Yeah.
All right. Okay, sure. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have a question to Kumar Piyush. This is Nagarajan here. Kumar,
Yes.
Just wanted to understand. So, what is the revenue mix that you currently have between products and services? And going forward, what do you want to be characterized as a product company, or do you want to be known as a hybrid services and product company?
So right now it's a mixture. Most of the revenue is coming from services. As you know, from beginning we are into services. So around 60% of revenue we have from services, and 40% from product right now. But our focus would be product going further. We want to focus more on our product, and we want to be called as a product company in future.
I have a
Okay.
question for you, Kumar. Now,
Yes.
since your ERP is based on textile process,
Mhm.
can you extend it to other processes like pharma or any of the other processes?
In fact, our plan is to go to pharma after this, and we want to go to other manufacturing domain as well, because most of the things remain same when you have a ERP, inventory, exports, accounting, all those things remain same. The only thing that changes in a manufacturing industry is production planning. The production planning that a textile manufacturer will have will be different from a pharmaceutical company. So if we build that production planning for different manufacturing industry, the whole ERP is ready with us. So we are planning to go to other verticals as well in future.
But I think we have had enough time.
Just one question. This is Shiva. Hello.
Not audible. Very.
Sounds like an alien.
No, I think we have to stop here because we have two more sessions, short sessions. Questions you can send by email. We will pass it on to the two speakers and we'll get you the answers, if you don't mind. Next, over to Mahesh Rao on TIE University, please. A short the global competition.
Yes, just about 2-3 minutes. This year we have had 3 different verticals out of the TIE University program. TIE University has conducted the global hackathon. From Mysore, we had one team going into all the way to the semifinals, and that was wonderful, opportunity for the team from Mysore. The second was the TIE Pitch Fest. We had somewhere 48 teams or something. Out of that, we selected only 42 teams. The rest, about 6 teams, didn't have anything except for registration. Nothing much was there. So out of the 42 teams, we conducted what you call it as a Pitch Fest session, and we selected 19 teams to go into the semifinals. Out of that, we selected 4 teams to go to the finals, and 1 team from here is going to the Pitch Fest final of TIE Global. That is on May 15th and 16th. For May 15th, they have 27 teams, and May 16th, out of the 27 teams, they are going to select 8 teams to go into the final. So that's what that part of the program is. The third part of the TIE University is the TIE Connect, which is with the university colleges. This year, we have had 2 engineering colleges we have connected with, VVCE and MIT, Maharaja Institute of Technology, Vidyavardhaka College of Engineering. We are working with Myra. That most probably will be the third one for this year. So that's all what we have this year. So 15th and 16th, all the details of the, what you call it as, the Pitch Fest will be published into this forum. Please try to attend. We have one team from our, Mysore selected and going in there. Plenty of prizes, plenty of money for the winners. So it would be wonderful for people to see it and participate in it. You will hear a lot of new ideas. This is the one place where you will see, lots of interesting ideas and new ideas which people are thinking in this pandemic age. I would call it as pandemic age. Okay. Thank you.
Mahesh, this is Sudhanva. I have a question for you.
Please.
Can you do a partnership with a school next time on TYE?
Yes. That is the next thing which we have, Sudhanva. We have, what do you call it as the, from high school to whatever, trying to make sure that, the school students, the young Indians, the young people, TYE, that's what we are looking at, the TIE Young Entrepreneurs. And that's what we are looking at. And next year we will start with that. This year, the focus was trying to get the colleges, so
yes,
we are stopping at 3. Yeah. Next year, we will definitely select two connects at the TYE. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Sudhanva, you can do this as your first act as the incoming when you become president next year.
Yeah.
I thought I should do a quick plug there.
COVID giving way. Provided COVID gives way.
All virtual.
Anyway, thank you, Mahesh Rao,
thank you
for the brief. Over to Sanjay, past President Sanjay Srinivasmurthy on TIE Angels, please.
All right. Let me find that up here. Is it visible?
Yes.
Just a second. All right. So yeah, I mean, we have just 10 minutes for this, and I want to try to cover as much as possible. Kumar, Piyush, and Matthew, you guys were just awesome here. I mean, thank you so much for doing this. And with Matthew, I've known him for quite some time now, and he's also been part of our accelerator program. But I think one thing that Matthew didn't mention, and I'm taking the liberty to letting people know that, if you happen to be a qualified dietitian or come from a nutrition space, right, he can definitely use you, for his exact diet program. He pinged me for a few connects, but I think this is the right forum for me to kind of introduce that. And yeah, Matthew and Kumar, I think there's already been a lot of interest about the product that you guys have been working on, right? So
thank you.
Good timing for you to be part of the TIE, event. So coming back to the topic.
And maybe membership also.
Yeah, membership too. Just a second, I just want to move this. Cool. Okay. So back to our topic. But before we start, a few salient points about TIE Angels itself. About 20 chapters have launched the TIE Angels initiative in India, and the TIE Angels US program is recognized as one of the top 20 groups in the US actually. So I think we want to get there as well as far as TIE India Angels are concerned. And the track record of investments, of value creation has been over 200 million in the just 3 years time frame. And also, there are 100 plus TIE Angel investors who have made investments through the deal sourcing, the TIE deal sourcing. So if you see this, this is a your story, extract, where you see that, in October of last year, the Mahavir went online, and Mahavir, in fact, the chair of India
Angels, Thai India Angels, and he is the go-to guy for any policies for the Angel program. So there was an interview that was published, and it's all about how to basically help startups. And I know for sure it was mid last year sometime when we had a video call with Mahavir, and we were trying to get our act together in getting this whole Angels thing set up. But nevertheless, slowly but surely it's happening. So on our side, on the Mysore chapter side, two of us are anchoring this program. Abhi, he's also on the call today, Abhiram, and myself, both are going to be working on this particular, initiative. So what is the vision of, Thai Angels, India Angels? So there are 4 aspects to this, program. One is, bringing together. That means is, get all the CMs together, and make a collective investment across startups in India. These could be early stage or, depends on where the angels want to invest. Second point is about bringing transformation. Now, there are a number of startups, or, if you look at our, pyramid itself, our societies, right? There are a number of ideas that are, sparked locally. So it's about, honing and bringing up or identifying, the local entrepreneurs and, bringing onto this platform. The third is, having a resolve, in investing in early and idea stage startups for a simple reason that, these are the most riskiest, and, this could also bear great fruits. But, this is a great way to kind of go to the fourth point, which is about giving them all the help, which is mentoring, hand-holding, education, guidance through the already available Thai Global Network and the overall reach. Now, our Thai Angel philosophy, if you really look at, so a very small data point that I have collected is, the India Thai Angels or the India Thai setup has about 1,400 charter members. And out of those 1,400 charter members, there are about 200 charter members who are spawning or overlapping with other angel networks. It could be IAN, it could be Mumbai Angels, Hyderabad Angels, Chennai Angels, so on. Sorry. And there are remaining 1,200, which have to be brought on board. Okay. So there is an opportunity for us to kind of widen the network of investors or charter members to make investments in early and idea stage startups. One other good point as an opportunity is, from philosophy standpoint, is Thai being a non-profit organization, the cost to angels currently is very low. Okay, we'll talk about it in the next slide. And of course, access to vast majority of mentor pool across vertical domains, sectors, which is spread across globe. So you name the sector, probably you'll be able to reach out to the, through the network. But it's important that you start considering whoever is not a member, be part of the Thai program itself, the joining the chapter and at a CM level basically. Now, how does this really work? There are 3 important things that happen here. It is the eligibility. It is open to all the charter members. Okay, whoever is currently the charter member today in Mysore Thai, they can participate. There is no minimum commitment. There is no fee today. And the participation is voluntary. Okay, you can decide, to be part of the program. You can decide whether you want to really participate in the angel round. Okay, so after the chapter level investments, there is opportunity for startups to participate in the national as well as global levels, because these become curated startups for us. So how do we basically look at deal flow, right? I mean, as far as the angels funding at a chapter level is concerned, the deal should originate from the home chapter. So if you're looking for investing in a startup, it has to be a Mysore startup or a Mysore cluster startup. Okay, and the chapter must be committing about 25% of the amount. Assuming, for example, a startup is trying to raise about 1 CR, right? 25 lakhs has to come from the local angels, right? So there is a deal sourcing portal that I'll show screenshots of.
Siddaramaiah press conference ke pade. Atar jan kar kya banenge ne? Atar jan ka duka.
Ajit,
good night.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. And the deal evaluation would be done once a month. Okay. So how does this work? Probably 2 or 3 charter members, 2 of us are already there, Abhi and myself. We'll carry out the deal flow diligence to start with. We'll also go through a negotiation process. We will shortlist we'll take the shortlisted startups or deals and present it to the angels, the Thai angels, who will further make an evaluation, and then it's opened up to the national forum. So what do typically investors look for? Okay, this is a pretty standard kind of a slide in terms of the investor requirement, but it's not limited to just this. You're looking at basically the problem that an entrepreneur is trying to solve, a problem solution fitment, the scalability of the solution, the team background, whether the founder is coachable, whether the founders, co-founders bring in complementary skills. If they're repeat entrepreneurs, yeah, I mean, that's a great add-on, right? Validation, has the MVP been validated? Is there a product market fit that you can show us? What is the value proposition that you're bringing to the table and to the market? Do you have any IPs? What is your go-to-market strategy? And of course, the financial is the greatest aspect, right? How are you? What is your current tractions? How does your projections look like? Are you clearly articulating, your fundraise, and what is it that you're going to use the capital that has been deployed, and the kind of targeted outcomes that you're looking based on the investment, right? And of course, one of the things people are putting in money is, how do I get to an exit, right? So that's important, and we should be able to kind of talk about it. And there's going to be a weighted way of looking at scoring, and thereafter a decision will be made. So far, we have done about 3 startups, that we have spoken to. Brezi is in the space of insurance. Nervi is in the space of event management. Grasp is an edtech. Unfortunately, none of the 3 startups made it to the next round because we went through a qualifier scrutiny round. Didn't happen. Now, what is the fee structure and the chapter level cadence? Currently, as I said, it is open and free for all the charter members. Nobody pays a single pie. Okay, but come March 2022, there's a talk about introducing a $100 fee for investor per year. So these funds will be used towards the due diligence fund, right? Which is going to be a cost to the Angels program. Currently, as I said, it's going to be borne by the chapter, and when we talk about due diligence, it's a few of us trying to do it, or if any of our charter members come from an audit or an accounting and finance background, probably they can do some help there as well. So we intend to set aside a day in every month, last Thursday of the month, where we'll review all the deals and probably look at making our analysis and bringing on the other angel investors to see if this is something that interests, followed by moving it to the next round. Okay, and of course we also intend to do a quarterly angel investor meet, wherein would like to hear from areas. Are there any specific verticals or sectors that we want to look at startups from? So the overall process of Thai Angels, you got to complete an online application. In this case, tiathai.org/logging is the website or the link that the entrepreneur needs to go in, has to complete an online form. I'll show you how it looks. This is going to be once it's submitted, it goes through a committee pre-screening where there'll be industry experts who will review it along with maybe two or three of us. Then the first round of pitching happens, where it is about the key narratives that you want to talk about as far as what you bring on as far as value or the problem that you're trying to solve. And here is where we are looking at, after round 1 of pitching, an investment interest of 25% needs to come out clearly. And thereafter, it is a pitch that is made to Thai India Angel. This is about the home chapter advocating the advantage to the Pan India chapter, India Angel chapter, saying that, yeah, I mean, this is a startup that we believe in, and which opens up to Pan India Angels. And once there is an interest between the local chapters and the India chapter, the Angels chapter, then the deeper dive is taken into the the due diligence phase. Okay, and thereafter it is about the deal closure process, which takes about 12 to 24 weeks. I mean, there's going to be a term sheet, there's going to be an SHA, and each investor or each angel would show up on the cap table of the company. Okay, it's not going to be TiE Angels which will have one cap table entry. It's going to be individual. Now, if you're logging in for the first time, if you're applying as an entrepreneur to the Angels platform, you need to visit, and of course, Mahesh can share this information, tia.tie.org login. This will take you to a login page where you got to create your own login ID as an entrepreneur. There are several questions. It'll take at least a good 2 to 3 hours to put in all this information. This is about you yourself as a founder, the startup that you're trying to build, social information, the team, everything around the product, market, business model, go-to-market, traction, and everything around what you probably would carry on a pitch deck. Okay, extremely important that this is done. Okay. Now, managing the deals very quickly. So currently in the Mysore chapter, there are about 11 angels who have registered. I've purposely hidden the names out here, and the entrepreneur information shows up the way you look at here in the second screen out here. And you click on each one of these and you can go to and review their application and assign it to the workflow that you want. And the third screen out here is about how the workflow happens as soon as the deal is set up out here in the platform. Okay, which of course goes through again a workflow, screening, presentation, terms of investments, and so on. And I'm the admin of the this portal. And by the way, if you are a CM and wanting to sign up for this, there are a couple of links that will be provided, and Mahesh will be doing that. And some of you have already done that. There's a Google form that you got to fill out, and thereafter, there's a declaration form that you got to sign and send it to Mahesh, and which in turn goes to the TiE Angels India. Okay, they will do a quick review of your form, Google form, and thereafter, you are in basically, and your name shows up in the portal, and as and when the deals comes up, you will be able to view those, right? So with this, I conclude my presentation, and I'm open to any questions, and definitely, if I'm not able to answer, I can definitely direct you and or get you an answer. Ajit, anything that you feel needs to be added out here?
No, we're fine. I think you covered it all, and we're running really way beyond time. And the good part is we still have about 41 members still logged in. So obviously it was a good session.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Sanjay. Very well covered.
Very nice development.
Yeah.
I would also like to become an angel.
Thanks. Oh, you are already there, actually, Sabrishan.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is Raghunandan from KTech Innovation. Can I have a very quick question to Sanjay?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So Sanjay, the conversion rates even for angel investments in India are, they're pretty low. So my question to you is, as a TiE body, how do you plan to increase the pipeline?
Yeah. See, that's one of the mandate. Okay, if you look at the entire guideline set by TiE India Angels, the chapter is responsible for the local deals. Okay. However, once we assume that we have identified a deal and we invest 25 lakhs or 25% and open it up to the Pan India Angels. Similarly, you will have an opportunity to look at deals coming from all other chapters, which means that, let's say Chandigarh, right? Chandigarh probably has invested 25%. The deal comes and shows up on to everybody, right? That is access to the global deals, right? But as far as our own local deals, I think we all have to evangelize this across the board as far as getting deals. That's the reason, we're trying to work with Adarsh and team to start socializing this beyond, the Mysore borders, so that we can start seeing some good deals coming. I've also requested Mahavir, if he allows us to look at deals which we probably believe in, and probably are unable to raise funding. These are promising deals. Probably we can take it forward.
Hey, Sanjay, this is Bhaskar. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah, sure, Bhaskar.
If 25% of any deal value has to be funded by the local chapter, that automatically means that we got to recruit many more CMs or other investors who, in our chapter, so that we have a larger network of people who are willing to invest. If you have only a handful, you mentioned 11 right now, correct?
Right.
Right. So now if somebody is looking for, let's say, a crore, taking your example, it's 25 lakhs. That means approximately little more than 2 lakhs. If all the 11 invest, it is little more than 2 lakhs per head. So that may or may not happen, particularly if it's so. I think we have to. It's just a suggestion collectively to all of us as to how we can actually increase the population of CMs so that we have a much larger group who can potentially be investors.
Correct. Exactly. You've got a valid point, Bhaskar. And, it's all the more important that we add the CM count here, because currently the eligibility is open only for CMs.
Good. Thank you, Sanjay. It's a very interesting. Now I would leave it to Mahesh VK to conclude the proceeding with a vote of thanks. Over to you, Mahesh VK.
Thank you, sir, once again. I think we are come to the end of this entire session. I take this opportunity to thank today's speaker, Mr. Kumar Piyush and Matthew Chakku, for sharing their wonderful inspirational story with the Thai Mysuru community. Kumar sir and Matthew sir, on behalf of Thai Mysuru and all the participants, I highly appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you very much for your for sharing your journey with us, and we look forward to associate with you and you becoming Thai member. We are open for that. Thank you once again, and a special thanks to Thai Mysuru Dynamic Board led by President Ajit Pai sir for taking such initiative to encourage startup ecosystem in this region. And by the way, this is our first startup stories as part of a monthly event, and it is all initiated by President and that entire Dynamic Board. Once again, thank you, Ajit sir and the entire Dynamic Board for your continuous support. I also thank our own charter members, Mr. Sabrishan sir and Pramod BN, for leading this initiative and executing this entire initiative and making it happen. Sabrishan sir and Pramod sir, thank you very much for your time, consideration, and efforts you are putting. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Mahesh.
I
To you also
thank our own past president, Sanjay Srinivas Murthy sir, Director Silicon Road, for all the support and encouragement to Thai. And I also thank our esteemed partners, ecosystem partners, Vidya College of Engineering, Mahira Business School, and Maharaja Institute of Technology, and Tech Innovation Hub powered by IKP for their continuous support. We highly acknowledge their support and their presence throughout this entire session. Not least the least, on behalf of Thai, I thank all the charter members who were present here and all the participants for your active participation. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thanks, Mahesh.
Thanks, Mahesh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mahesh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Stay safe.